Elizabeth Nelson had always been fascinated by the stars. Growing up in a small town in Kansas, she spent countless nights lying on her back in her family's backyard, staring up at the night sky. Her father, a science teacher, had nurtured her curiosity with books about astronomy and the universe. By the time she reached high school, Elizabeth knew she wanted to become an astronomer. After earning her PhD in astrophysics, Elizabeth secured a position at the renowned Deep Space Observatory in Texas. There, she immersed herself in her work, dedicating long hours to studying the universe. Despite the solitary nature of her job, Elizabeth found peace and fulfillment in discovering and understanding the mysteries of the universe. Her best friend and colleague, Charlie Ford, was totally different than Elizabeth. While she was quiet and serious, Charlie was easygoing and joking by nature. He had grown up in New York City and initially pursued a career in stand-up comedy before switching to astronomy after a life-changing encounter with a meteor shower. He explained that, when he saw those meteors flying through the sky, he felt something in his soul that was so beautiful and profound that to him it was like a calling. And then after that, he decided to make a change of heart. Instead of being a stand-up comedian, he emptied his savings account and enrolled in a university for astronomy. After a couple of long and hard years of studying, he finally finished it and was then sent to Deep Space Observatory to accompany Dr. Elizabeth Nelson in her research of space. They instantly hit it off and became good friends. And due to Charlie's earlier career choice, his comedic background often lightened the mood during long and boring nights at the observatory. One late summer night, as Elizabeth and Charlie were preparing for another evening of stargazing and data analysis, something extraordinary happened. Elizabeth was adjusting the telescope, pointed deep into the constellation Orion, when she noticed a bright, pulsating light moving rapidly towards Earth. "Charlie, come here. Are you seeing this?" Elizabeth called him out, confused about what she was seeing. Charlie ran over to her with a bag of chips still in his hands. "Yeah, El. What's up?" He looked at the screen. What he saw was also a bright light, but he thought that this must be a comet. But then what appeared to be a comet changed its course and was heading straight for the desert just beyond their observatory. They were completely baffled. This couldn't possibly be a comet, but yet they didn't have any explanation of what it was. As the strange light descended, it started slowing down, which was completely unexpected and very strange. Then it landed smoothly in the sand, about a mile from the observatory. Elizabeth and Charlie exchanged confused looks, with their knowledge and scientific background telling them that this must be a mistake. But still, they had childish curiosity in them that was telling them that everything was possible. "Should we check it out?" Charlie asked, with a mix of excitement and nervousness in his voice. Elizabeth nodded, while her heart was pounding. "Let's go, but we need to be careful." They took some of their scientific instruments with them, a couple of flashlights and a gun, and carried it to their car. They were heading out to the desert, nervous about what they would uncover once they got there. When they got to the desert, the air was cool and crisp, filled with the sounds of wildlife at night. They parked the car on the road, took some flashlights and a gun, and then set out on foot. As they approached the place where the strange light crashed, they saw a metallic spherical object as big as a house. "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" Elizabeth asked, with a slight high pitch in her voice. "That this might be the greatest discovery of our lives, a fricking alien." "I can't believe it," Charlie replied. "Neither can I. This is awesome. My heart is beating so hard right now, I'm even sweating all over, and it's cold out here," Elizabeth said to Charlie. "But wait, what's our plan right here?" Charlie asked, "Do we just knock on the door and say hello, welcome to Earth? Do you want us to take you to our leader?" Elizabeth smiled, nodding. "Well, that would be an interesting way of starting a conversation between two species. But let's just see what happens when we get closer." As they got within a few feet of the craft, the door slid open with a soft hum, revealing a dimly lit interior. Elizabeth and Charlie exchanged a look of disbelief, then turned their attention back to the figure stepping out of it. The being that stepped out was tall, nearly 7 feet, with an elegant, humanoid form. Its skin was a smooth, iridescent blue that shined in the moonlight, creating a beautiful glow. Long, slender limbs ended in fingers with an extra joint, allowing for fluid, graceful movements. Its head was slightly elongated, with 2 big yellow eyes, a small nose, and a mouth. Charlie leaned closer to Elizabeth, his eyes never leaving the alien. "What do we do now?" he whispered. Elizabeth took a deep breath, trying to maintain her composure. "Let's introduce ourselves." The alien's eyes were large and almond-shaped, with a deep yellow color. They seemed to look into their very souls. "Greetings, Earthlings," the alien said. "I am Zephyr, a traveler from the planet Nexarion." Elizabeth stepped forward, while her voice was steady, despite the strange situation. "I'm Elizabeth Nelson, and this is Charlie Ford. Why are you here?" Zephyr's gaze shifted between them, while his eyes were glowing. "I come in peace, seeking understanding and collaboration. My people, the Nexarions, are at a crucial point in our history. Our planet, Nexarion, has long been isolated from other worlds. Through centuries of using our planet's resources, we managed to deplete them to the point of almost destroying it. And since we didn't have any planet in our neighborhood to extract resources from, my species almost went extinct. My people thinned out so much that we had to create breeding camps just so that our species could survive. We have observed Earth for many years and recognized that humans carry similar DNA as we do. We believe that by understanding each other more, we can help each other survive and also forge a bond that will benefit both of our species." Elizabeth and Charlie took a quick look at each other, and then Charlie, visibly confused, asked, "How exactly do you plan to understand us better?" Zephyr took a step forward, and the glowing patterns on his skin started pulsating. "We have come to study human life and behavior in a very serious way. Our primary goal is to explore the possibility of symbiosis between our species. We believe that by creating a direct biological link, we can bridge the gap between our worlds and help my people survive." Elizabeth lifted her eyebrow. "What do you mean by a direct biological link?" Zephyr's yellow eyes met Elizabeth's. She could see in them both seriousness and hope. "We have developed advanced technology that allows for the integration of our DNA with that of humans. This would involve a human woman bearing a Nexarion child, creating a hybrid being that embodies the strengths and traits of both of our species. This is the only thing that would help my species survive the extinction and continue on living. If this child gets born without any issues, it would serve as a living testament to our potential union and provide valuable insights into our mutual compatibility." Charlie's eyes widened in disbelief. "Wait, you're saying you want one of us to have an alien baby?" Zephyr nodded, confirming the sentence. "Yes, This experiment is not just about biological integration, but also about mutual growth and understanding. The child would be a bridge between our worlds, a symbol of unity and cooperation. Elizabeth took a deep breath, her mind realizing the implications of all of this. And how do you expect this to happen? Our species are fundamentally different. Zephyr's skin pattern started glowing brighter as he explained. Our scientists have developed a method to merge our genetic material in a way that ensures compatibility and safety for the human host. The process would be closely monitored, with both physical and emotional support provided. We understand the gravity of this request, and we seek only a willing participant who understands the significance of this endeavor. Charlie shook his head in disbelief. This is beyond anything we've ever encountered. You're asking for a lot. Zephyr's eyes softened. I understand the magnitude of what we are asking, but consider the possibilities. Together, we could overcome challenges that have long plagued both of our worlds. This child could be the key to a future where our species live and thrive together. Elizabeth and Charlie exchanged a long look. The weight of the decision ahead was clearly visible, but so was the potential for a big leap in understanding and cooperation between the two worlds. We need some time to think about this, Elizabeth finally said, with her voice being steady. Zephyr lifted his head. Of course, take all the time you need. This decision must come from a place of willingness and understanding. I will await your response. As they stood there, facing the unknown together, Elizabeth couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and fear, knowing that their lives were about to change forever. Elizabeth and Charlie went back to the observatory and sat in the dimly lit room together, while the Zephyr's proposal hung in the air. The gentle hum of the scientific equipment was the only sound that was heard while they were both thinking about this. The idea of bearing an alien child was both terrifying and beautiful at the same time. It was a chance to make a profound contribution to science and humanity, but the personal and emotional risks were not to be ignored. Charlie broke the silence, his voice uncharacteristically serious. Elizabeth, are you seriously considering this? The implications are enormous. Your life, your body, everything would change. Elizabeth turned to face him. I know, Charlie, but think about what this could mean for humanity. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to bridge two worlds, to gain knowledge and understanding we've only dreamed of. Charlie ran a hand through his hair. I get that, but this isn't just about science. It's about you. You'd be putting yourself at incredible risk, and we don't even know what the long-term consequences could be. Elizabeth nodded. You're right. There are so many unknowns. But if there's even a chance that this could lead to something greater, isn't it worth considering? We've dedicated our lives to seeking the unknown. This is just another frontier. Charlie sighed. I understand the appeal, Elizabeth, but I can't help worrying about what might happen to you. What if something goes wrong? What if the integration isn't as smooth as Zephyr claims? Elizabeth reached out, placing a reassuring hand on Charlie's arm. I appreciate your concern, Charlie, I really do. But this decision has to come from a place of hope, not fear. If we always let fear guide us, we'd never make any progress. Charlie looked into her eyes. So you are prepared to go through with this? To become a part of something that could change the course of history? Elizabeth took a deep breath. Yes, I am. I know it's a huge risk, but it's a risk I'm willing to take, for the chance to make a difference, to be part of something that transcends our current understanding. Charlie nodded slowly, while realizing the weight of her decision. "If this is truly what you want, I'll support you. But I need you to promise me something." "Anything," Elizabeth replied. "Promise me you'll be careful, that you'll listen to your instincts and not push yourself beyond your limits, and that if anything feels wrong, you'll tell me immediately." Elizabeth squeezed his arm. "I promise, Charlie, we'll face this together, step by step." With their decision made, they returned to the landing site, where Zephyr was waiting for them. Elizabeth stepped forward. "I've made my decision. I will participate in your experiment. I understand the risks, but I believe in the potential for a greater understanding between our species." Zephyr replied, "Thank you, Elizabeth Nelson. Your courage and willingness to embrace the unknown will pave the way for a new era. I will ensure that you are given the best care and support throughout this process." The process was swift and painless. Elizabeth felt a warmth spread through her body as Zephyr transferred a part of their essence into her. She was now carrying a hybrid child, a blend of human and Nexarian DNA. As weeks turned into months, Elizabeth went under many tests and procedures, each one carefully documented and analyzed. Zephyr set up a temporary base near her observatory, which he used to take care of her and her baby. As the embryo began to develop, her body started to change in ways that both fascinated and concerned her. The initial stages were similar to a typical human pregnancy, but soon unique characteristics began to emerge. Her senses heightened, her strength increased, and her eyes changed slightly in the color yellow mirroring the eyes of a Nexarian. Zephyr also provided her with special nutrients and supplements designed to support her body and the baby through the pregnancy. Charlie stood by her side through the whole process and helped her with anything she asked. He proved himself to be a true friend to Elizabeth. As 9 months passed, Elizabeth went into labor. She woke up in the early hours of the morning, as her body was pulsing with contractions. She realized that the time had come, and she immediately called Zephyr and Charlie to come and help her. They quickly prepared the observatory into a delivery room. Elizabeth lay on the bed, gripping the sides as another wave of contractions hit. Sweat dripped down her forehead, and her breathing became rapid. Charlie was by her side, holding her hand, and telling her that everything's gonna be all right. After what felt like an eternity, the moment finally arrived. With one last, intense effort, Elizabeth gave birth to her child. The room fell silent as Zephyr gently lifted the newborn, checked its vitals, and said with excitement that the baby was healthy, and it was a girl. Elizabeth laid back on the bed, exhausted but filled with an overwhelming sense of relief. Charlie squeezed her hand while his eyes filled with tears. "You did it, Elizabeth. You brought a miracle into this world," he said. Zephyr carefully placed the child in Elizabeth's arms, while he was showing a deep sense of gratitude and respect. "You have given us a gift beyond measure, Elizabeth. This child is the symbol of our unity and the beginning of a new era." Elizabeth smiled while holding the daughter in her arms. "Her name will be Astra, a child of the stars." And thus, in the quiet of the desert night, under the watchful eyes of the stars, the future of 2 worlds was born.